Week 4 is probably not the week that we want to spend too much fab. There are some big names, some guys that I think have some season-long value, but for the most part, be pretty conservative with your spending here. In this video, we're going to go through a couple names that I like. It's kind of in descending order in terms of the dudes I want the most at the top and the dudes I want the least at the bottom. Without wasting any more of your time, let's get into the video. The first name I have on this list is going to be Jauan Jennings, guys. Everybody's going to have this dude top priority if he's still on your waiver wire. First of all, invite me to your league. I want to be in that league if Jauan Jennings is still on the waiver wire. But more importantly, he gets 41 fantasy points in week 3, 11 catches for 175 yards and 3 touchdowns off only 12 targets. So he catches mostly everything that goes his way. Has a prototypical Randy Moss type fucking game. Absolutely incredible outing from Jauan Jennings. Unfortunately, Brandon Ayuk owners or, Jordan Mason owners, a little bit upset here where he gets most of the touchdowns. He gets all of the work for the 49ers. So kind of brutal, but looking forward, he's got familiarity with the system. He's got ability. He's actually like a talented wide receiver. And he seems to be like a red zone weapon. So they seem to want to go his way in the red zone. Like Brandon Ayuk kind of was a letdown in the first 2 weeks where he had some big drops in the red zone. So is it possible that they move toward Jauan Jennings and maybe he's earned more of the trust? If he's still on your waivers, open up the coffers for him, drop the stacks, head to the ATM, grab some more money, pawn that engagement ring that you have, do whatever you got to do, get Jauan Jennings on your team. He should be very good, even when Deebo Samuels comes back. I can imagine Jauan Jennings still have a place on the team. Next dude on the list is going to be Darnell Mooney. So Darnell Mooney is a guy that I had as like a deep draft pick for me, like a sleeper pick. I drafted him. Of course, my dumbass dropped him after week 1. And then somebody else went and picked him up for $20 off Fab. I tried to sweeten him up and get him from him, but didn't happen. Anyway, 10.6 fantasy points, 8 targets, catches all of them for 66 yards. Looks to be like the intermediate type guy. He looks to be the clear number 2 option for the Falcons. And he's actually like ahead of Kyle Pitts, honestly, on like the pecking order. Like it's really Drake London, then it's Darnell Mooney. And to be honest, Mooney and London are kind of toe for toe in terms of targets and involvement. And I think importantly, Kirk Cousins, he looks like just good enough to keep this offense steady. Their defense is just good enough to keep them in games. But I think the Falcons are going to be like in games most of the time. They like to pass a neutral game script. They have a pretty decent offense that can move the ball and they can stay in games. And I think there's going to be a lot of like garbage time production. That seems to be how Darnell Mooney's getting a lot of his cheddar. So that is a dude that I really like moving forward. He's a potential flex play moving forward. I'd spend anywhere from 5 to 15% fab, maybe even more if you're really wide receiver needy or if you have a lot of flex spots to fill. Next dude on the list is Emanuel Wilson. I was thinking about putting this guy in kind of the handcuff category, but to me, like he's important enough that I need to talk about him on his own. So he had 15.5 fantasy points, 12 for 50 on the ground, so pretty decent in terms of yards per carry. But he goes 2 for 35 in the air and a touchdown, and he plays 41% of the snaps. So that's the important part. His touchdown came off of like a screen pass on like second and long. So it's nice that they schemed him open. It's nice that the play went to Emmanuel Wilson. He's got some juice, he's got some speed, and he's the clear number 2 guy, and he could potentially eat into Josh Jacobs' timeshare, which I don't think they want to run Josh Jacobs into the ground. So I can imagine Wilson being more and more involved as they move forward. Um, TuTu Atwell is the next name on the list. He goes 4 for 93 off of 5 targets, so not a high target share. It was really the Kyron Williams show in week 3, but he's got some juice, man. He started the game, played a lot of snaps, ran a lot of routes. He caught that long bomb to get them inside the 5, like at the end of the game. So played a vital role. Stafford went to him in crunch time when they needed something. So TuTu Atwell just looks like he has some juice, bro. Like everybody else on the team kind of looks underwhelming. I know Demarcus Robinson almost had that amazing catch and he's getting open. He's running good routes, but TuTu seems to be the dude who's like kind of benefiting from the teams loading up on Demarcus Robinson or loading. I don't know who they're loading up on. I mean, I don't know why you would load up on Robinson, but TuTu Atwell's got some juice, man. Next name on the list is Andrei Iosivas. I don't know how to say his name. I don't even think he knows how to say his own name. 13.7 fantasy points 2 weeks in a row. So he gets 7 targets in this one, 5 for 52 and a touchdown. Now, keep in mind, this is crazy. This is when T. Higgins came back. So this is the first game. T. Higgins is healthy. He said he's 100% healthy. Yet Yoshivas gets into the end zone again. Has he seems to be like a nice red zone weapon for them. They trust him around the red zone. And unfortunately, the Bengals are 0-3, right? Does this mean that they open up the offense a little bit more and they play a little bit more aggressive? They pass a little bit more in neutral game script? Like, they need to start making plays, dude. They need to start getting dubs, or else the season is, the season is probably already over at 0-3. But if any team can maybe turn it around, I would say the Bengals have the talent for it. Their defense suggests good enough to be able to do it. I don't know. I mean, the defense is kind of giving up a lot, especially to the fucking Commanders, but I don't know. Andrei Iosivas, decent pickup. He's like the wide receiver 3. He's kind of that Tyler Boyd type archetype. So Tyler Boyd was pretty productive for fantasy, even as the third option. So next dude on the list is Calvin Austin. I don't know what to think about Calvin Austin. I don't know if I should even have him on this list. He gets 17.5 fantasy points, 4 for 95, and a touchdown, although he only gets 5 targets. But essentially, the thesis of why I like Calvin Austin moving forward is that George Pickens is getting shadow covered every week. George Pickens has like an all pro corner on him every week, it seems. They've got the toughest wide receiver and quarterback schedule by far in the NFL, yet they're still 3-0. They have just a good enough passing attack where you can maybe play some of these guys. Unfortunately, I wouldn't trust Arthur Smith too much. Any given week, it could just be run the ball, 50 times, and none of the receivers get any type of production. But he's the clear number 2. Pickens draws a lot of double coverage, and he draws those top cornerbacks. Somebody else has to produce. I think Calvin Austin's like a sneaky little flex play. He's like he's like that shifty little slot receiver that can like produce any given week, kind of like a Josh Downs type player. So I like Calvin Austin. Next on the list, I got 2 quarterbacks for you guys back to back. Justin Fields is the first one. So he had 19 fantasy points versus LA Chargers, who have the second ranked secondary in the NFL. I don't know how they're ranked now after week 3, but they were one of the better secondaries coming into the week. And at the end of the day, he's a starting quarterback for a winning team. He only has 1 turnover this season. He is on the ascent, right? He's ascending. He's playing better and better every week. And honestly, he's made some really good throws over the last couple weeks. So I like Fields, man. I think change of scenery. He's now on a new team. He's looking pretty good, dude. So I would go after a guy like Justin Fields if you're starting some like decrepit, old quarterbacks that you're not really confident. If you're starting a guy like Matt Stafford, make a pivot over to someone like Justin Fields. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the same rushing upside he had in past seasons. So that's kind of shitty, but I feel like any given week that might come out, right? That might emerge where he can become like a rushing quarterback and have a nice rushing floor. So let's see how the Steelers are using him moving forward. Next person on this list is Sam Darnold, the MVP favorite of the NFL right now. Absolutely insane. Sam Darnold, a breath of fresh air on a new team with an amazing coaching staff, an amazing offense. He's surrounded by great weapons, dude. Respect to Aaron Jones. I wrote him off. He didn't write back. Justin Jefferson is always fucking open. I don't understand how he's open so much. Every single play, I'm like, yep, you should pass to Justin Jefferson. Not to mention you have Jalen Naylor, who's an absolute stud as a young promising prospect. You have Addison, who should be returning soon. You even have like a good second running back in Ty Chandler, right? Like this team is just built to be like a great team in the NFL. So Sam Darnold's the MVP now. Keep in mind with Sam Darnold, with Derek Carr, who we just saw last week, these guys can turn into farts at at any whim, at any breeze. Like somebody might crack a window and a slight breeze comes in. Sam Darnold could turn into the fart that he was before. But right now it's looking good, dude. Just be careful. If you're going to start starting these guys without looking at matchups and stuff, you might have a Derek Carr situation on your hand where he really punishes you last week. Same with Baker Mayfield. So be careful. Maybe have 2 quarterbacks, stream them. Next 2 dudes, it's 2 running backs. It's Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson. So, all right. DeAndre Swift is the sacrificial lamb for the Bears. DeAndre Swift is the guy that we are putting on the sacrificial table. We're going to sacrifice him to the gods because we see the offensive line. They're playing Twister. They're playing Twister. They are not blocking on run blocking. Basically, when DeAndre Swift gets the ball, there's already 2 defenders around him behind the line of scrimmage. There's absolutely nothing this guy can do. He's not one of these like power backs who can like break tackles. He's not the shiftiest back. He actually has pretty dog shit vision, to be honest. Like Swift cannot carry a bad O-line. Caleb Williams never checks the ball down to him. It's like especially if it's like in an advantageous play where he should check it down, Caleb Williams will leave the pocket, throw like a 40-yard bomb that hits the fucking umpire. Like, I don't understand, man. They're just not play calling for him. They're not utilizing him in space where his strengths are. They're not running him through like screen passes and screen plays. He's just honestly, they're like, yo, take the rock. We're gonna have two defenders basically blow you up at the line of scrimmage, and yeah, we're gonna then blame you, and then we're gonna put all the blame on you and nothing on the coaching. Dude, Shane Waldron, that guy should be waterboarded. He's he's so bad. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He's gonna lose his job, and Khalil, Herbert, and Roschon are probably gonna split the backfield just like last year. Unless something happens, man. Unless Swift really turns it around next week. He was supposed to against the Colts, who had like the dead worst run defense, like almost historically bad run defense. So staying in the Chicago Bears depth chart, we have Cole Kmet as the first tight end on this list. He has slowly taken over the tight end role from Gerald Everett, who I don't know why the coaching staff like was forcing Gerald Everett into the game. He started in week 1, but since week 1, Kmet goes 48% of the snaps, then 77% in week 2, then 81% in week 3. So he had 11 targets, 10 for 97 and a touchdown, dude. He is far more talented than Gerald Everett. He seems to be a nice option for Caleb Williams, a nice safety valve, as well as a red zone threat. At the end of the day, dude, he's a tight end. He has a face, a nose, he has ears, he has fingers, he has a heartbeat. So we're going to pick him up and we're going to be starting him going forward. And keep in mind, dude, the Bears have the worst run game I might have ever seen in my entire life. And that includes my IMs team and my fraternity in my college days. Like, we might have had a better run game, and it was flag football. Keep that in mind. Next dude on the list is Tyler Conklin. Listen, if you're 1 health point, if you're 1 HP, you need a tight end. You can do worse than Tyler Conklin. He has some rapport with Rodgers. He had a pretty decent game last week. You can do worse. So if you're 1 HP, you need a tight end. Maybe you had Njoku. Maybe you also had, Joe Blow or Bust Stop Magoo, and you're looking to upgrade. I think Tyler Conklin's a pretty decent play. Next, we're gonna go through some defenses, man. So defenses, I got 2 for you guys this week. If you're streaming defenses, if you play with defenses, first one is Miami. They're playing against Tennessee at home. Will Levis is essentially the Mayo turnover monster. He's good for a turnover or 2 every game. He's probably going to have a fumble, probably going to throw a pick. And Miami's at home, projected to score one of the highest in terms of defenses on the slate. So I'd pick them up. I know their offense looks absolutely horrific, looks rancid, looks terrible, but I think against Tennessee they might be able to stay keep it a close game. They might be able to take the ball away from Levis a couple times. Next defense I have is Cincinnati at Carolina. I know Dalton looked great, and I know Carolina just body bagged the Oakland Raiders or Las Vegas Raiders. Sorry, but it's still Carolina. It's still Andy Dalton. He's not the most mobile quarterback. He's good for like a pick every couple games. So, and Cincinnati's playing desperate, dude. They're a corner dog. Like, they should be getting after it. They really have to win this game. Essentially, if Cincinnati loses to Carolina and they go 0-4, the season's over, right? The season's over. I expect the Bengals to bring their A game. I expect the defense to show up. So, last person or last category on this video is going to be handcuff running backs. Essentially, pick up the handcuffs for your team, for your players. If you have Brees, make sure Braylon Allen's picked up. If you have Rachaad White, you should have picked up Bucky Irving like I told you before the season even started. If you've got Javonte Williams, you have a guy like Tyler Beatty who looked actually pretty good. I mean, Javonte Williams is cheeks anyway. Like, he should probably be dropped at this point. But yeah, man, pick up handcuffs that are on. If you already have all your own handcuffs and you're looking for some other ones, look for good offenses. Look for like teams where there's like a clear backup to the starter. Think like Emanuel Wilson for Josh Jacobs. And then, pick up your handcuffs first if you don't have them. That does it for the video, boys. Hope you liked it. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.